there. Okay, this is the Stockton Astronomical Society Hydrogen Alpha Telescope. It's a Corona brand. So this is how you can get it set up and working. First of all, this tray is already put on the tripod, so you'll have to take care of that. Once that's done, you can adjust it to whatever height you want. So I'm just going to put some position here. Okay, so right here, I'll put it over here, make sure the camera can see it. Right here is a female thread. So in that goes the counterweight. I need to move this way. Yeah, you can talk.
Well, it's just that it's too far away to really see.
Okay, how's this? Is this better?
And a little bit more.
Okay. We good?
Okay, that's
Okay.
better.
So we're going to take the threads and we're just going to screw them right in there. This will balance the telescope when it's being used. So when you do this part, here are the clutches for these. You don't want it like that because then when you thread it on, it'll swing it that way, so you should have it pointing down. Okay, we'll leave that like that for a second. Okay, this will allow it to track. So that's a battery pack. And this is a controller. So we're going to take this multi-pin dude and we're going to stick it in this guy right there. And there's only one way it'll go in, so it's not hard to do. We'll talk about turning it on in a minute. So far so good? Okay, the hydrogen alpha telescope itself looks like this. This is a Corona. It's got a female 1/4x20 thread right there, which is going to go on to the male 1/4x20 thread there. So carefully put it on so that the eyepiece end is towards the knob. Line it up and thread it in. Hang on good and tight. Shazam, just like that. Now what I like to do is I like to make sure it's balanced. So I will loosen that up, let go there. Actually feels pretty good. If it were wrong, for example, if it were up here, then see how this end is too heavy. So that's all we're doing is making sure that it's balanced. And it is. Okie dokie. We loosen these guys up to do our course motion. Okay, so Doug, the stud that he is, made this for it. So the bright side goes towards the sun and the dark side goes towards the people. So you stick that guy right on there. And you stick, is that seeable in the viewfinder?
Mm-hmm. I think you need to move it, the
Okay,
camera
we'll
up.
stick the other one right on there. And it's a little goofy, but this is a total lifesaver. Okay, let me just check the monitor there. Yeah, we're okay. I'll go up a little bit. Boink. Now, the scope is never pointing in this direction, by the way. I shouldn't say never. But this guy could slide down a little bit so that the hole here allows the finder to be seen. Okay, we'll take the dust cap off the star diagonal, put it in the box. And the Corona eyepiece is a piece of junk, so we have a Teleview eyepiece that we're going to use instead. It just goes in there, just like any other. Now the focus that you have, you can loosen those and have a draw tube. Don't loosen that one. And you have a helical focus. So what I like to do when I first get it set up is I like to move the helical focus back to its midway position, which would be right about there. We'll point at the sun in a second, but once it's pointed at the sun, it'll be out of focus. Use the draw tube to get it as close a focus as you can and tighten it. And then barely tweak this until it's in perfect focus, which means you'll have a red ball with a sharp edge. Okay, that's after you found the sun. Let's find the sun. You loosen the knobs and you move the scope around, and on the back of this little guy, when you're close to the sun, will be a little white dot, which is the sun shining on a screen. You just move it around until that guy's dead center on the screen. And once it is, you look in here. By the way, it is safe. This is not a kind of telescope that will burn your eye. It is a hydrogen alpha only wavelength scope, so you're not going to hurt yourself. You can go ahead and adjust this until it's right on the sun and tighten up those little knobs a little bit. And then once you're there, you go through your focusing routine. Now the scope tracks. So if you point this shaft right here, not this shaft, but this shaft right here. If you point it to the north, so that this shaft that goes through here and comes out here is pointing north, and if it's set to about 38 degrees, which it's already there, if you don't mess with it, it should be good, then that's close enough to polar alignment for our work. So all you really have to do is point this end to as close as north as you can get it. Then make sure that the knob is on end for north and you click it on. The telescope is now clock driving and will follow the sun. And if it goofs a little bit, you got the knobs. But this will track very well. It's a battery pack, and if the batteries crap out, you will have to get another battery. Now, when you're done, make sure you turn it off, or it'll be dead the next time you come. The other thing is, if you don't turn it off and you put it in your house at night, this is going to keep turning and it's going to end up doing something bad. So turn it off when you get done. So now once you have the sun in here, you have this thing called an etalon, and it tunes the frequency of the hydrogen alpha. So when you first look, it's just a red ball. And I think that's where you were before, right? So while you're looking, you can adjust this guy until two things happen. One is the details of the sun suddenly pop in, and the other is the flares on the side of the sun suddenly pop in. And as you're observing, you can always micro adjust it. It really does work, and it really is awesome. It's worth doing. You're not going to see sunspots with this. Well, you might, but probably not. You're going to see chromosphere with this. So again, crude focus is like that till you get it close. Fine focus is like that till it's nice and sharp. And then you tune the etalon until you can see the details you're after. Does that work, Becky? Was that too much?
Gotta try it.
Okay, so while the camera's going, let's take it apart and put it away. These guys come off, and you can stick them back together like that. You make sure that the power is on off, but we'll go ahead and disconnect that anyway. And that whole pack goes in the bag. Before you take the counterweight off, you want to get the scope off because you don't want the counterweight off and the scope flopping around. So I'm going to take the eyepiece first and put it in the box, which basically goes in that guy right there, and cover that up there, and that cover goes on. I'm going to loosen up the slides, slide it in all the way, screw this guy in, unscrew this. Hang on to the scope. Oh yeah, let's let that guy go down. Hang on to the scope carefully. Unscrew that. Now I like to have the scope with the finder up and the star diagonal off to the side, and that way it will perfectly fit in the molded pattern for the box there, just like that. Click, click, click. It's ready to go. Unscrew the counterweight, because if you don't unscrew the counterweight, the tripod's really top heavy and cumbersome. Goes in the bag. Use a little tripod triangle thing, comes apart so it'll fold up and go in your car. Then you always have to drop a bolt because, oh, I guess I didn't. See, it's not complete unless you drop the bolt and lose it. I'll screw these in so I won't lose them. I know me, if I don't do this, I'll lose them. Goes in the bag. And then you can retract the legs again. And the tripod folds up just like that and can now go in your car nicely. And that is that.
Good job.
Was that useful?
Yeah.
I don't know where I put my remote control. There we go.